Every single day, from the moment you open your eyes, your brain begins replaying the same thoughts that you had yesterday. You start thinking about what's wrong, what might go wrong, or what already has gone wrong. You scroll through your phone, check the news, and instantly feed your mind more information that confirms what you already believe, that life is stressful, it's uncertain, and difficult. And without realizing it, you're not living a new day. You're reliving a memory. The same patterns of thought that ran your yesterday are controlling your today. It's as if your brain has become a record on repeat, replaying the same emotional soundtrack over and over again. You see, your mind is an instrument that's meant to create, but most people unknowingly use it to recycle. When a negative thought repeats enough times, it stops being just a thought. It becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it turns into a belief. That belief then becomes the lens through which you see the world. If you believe that you are not good enough, your brain will filter out everything that proves you are capable and magnify everything that proves you're not. That's not because life is unfair. It's because your mind is working perfectly according to the program you gave it. Neuroscience tells us that the brain is a network of connections constantly firing electrical signals. Every thought you think triggers a chain reaction of neurons communicating with one another. When you think a thought repeatedly, especially a negative one, those neurons fire together more frequently. And as they continue to do so, they wire together. This is what scientists call neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change itself based on repeated mental activity. So if you keep thinking, "I'm not enough, I always fail, or life never works out for me," you are literally sculpting the architecture of your brain to reflect those thoughts. You are turning negative thinking into a biological pattern. This is why people often feel trapped, even when they want to change. You can't simply wish your way out of negative thinking because your mind and body have memorized it. The brain becomes a predictable machine, and the body becomes addicted to the familiar emotions of stress, worry, and self-doubt. Over time, those emotions begin to feel like your identity. You wake up and feel anxious, not because something's wrong, but because your body expects that feeling. It's familiar. It's what it knows. And the moment you try to think differently or feel better, your body sends a signal back to your brain saying, "No, this isn't who we are. Let's go back to feeling stressed." This is the trap. You become both the jailer and the prisoner, confined by your own thoughts. The more you think negatively, the more your brain reinforces that negativity. The more you feel the emotions of fear, anger, and frustration, the more your body craves them. And without awareness, you live the same emotional day over and over again, even though you keep calling it a new day. Now imagine this. Every time you focus on a problem, your brain starts creating a map of that problem. It begins predicting what might go wrong next. It releases chemicals that prepare your body for stress. Cortisol, adrenaline, and other stress hormones flood your system. Your heart rate increases, your breathing quickens, and your body becomes tense. Your mind and body become synchronized with survival. And when you live in survival for too long, creativity shuts down, focus narrows, and your body loses the ability to heal and restore itself. This is why people who live in constant negativity often feel physically tired, emotionally drained, and mentally scattered. But here's what most people don't realize. Every thought carries an electrical charge. Every emotion carries a magnetic field. Together, they create your personal electromagnetic signature, your energetic broadcast to the universe. When you continuously think negative thoughts and feel negative emotions, you are sending out a frequency that attracts more of the same experiences. You're literally drawing situations, people, and events into your life that match every emotion you feel is not just a passing sensation. It is a biochemical signal that floods your entire body. When you think a thought, your brain immediately begins producing chemicals that correspond to that thought. If you think a positive thought, something like gratitude, love, or excitement, your brain releases chemicals such as dopamine and serotonin, which make you feel elevated, creative, and alive. But when you think a negative thought, your brain releases stress chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine that prepare your body for survival. Over time, those stress chemicals become your emotional baseline, and the body learns to depend on them as if they were fuel. That's why people who live in cycles of fear, worry, or anger often say, "I don't know why, but I always feel this way." It's because their body is chemically addicted to the emotion of stress. Think about it this way. Every time you replay an argument in your head, every time you imagine something bad happening, every time you relive a moment of shame or failure, your brain cannot tell the difference between the memory and the present moment. It releases the same chemicals as if that event were happening all over again. The body begins to experience those negative emotions repeatedly. And eventually, it memorizes them better than your conscious mind does. So even when you're not thinking about that problem consciously, your body is still feeling the emotion of it. You've trained your body to live in a state of fear, doubt, or sadness, even when your mind wants peace. This is why breaking free from negativity feels so hard. You are not only trying to change your thoughts, you are trying to recondition your entire body. Your body has become your subconscious mind. It remembers who you were yesterday. It wants to repeat that same experience because it feels safe in what's familiar, even if that familiar state is painful. The body says, "I know this stress. I know this sadness. I know this anxiety, and because I know it, I'll keep bringing it up." So the moment you try to feel joy, hope, or gratitude, your body reacts. It sends signals back to your brain saying, "This doesn't feel right. Let's go back to what we know." And without awareness, most people obey that signal and return to the emotional state that feels normal to them. That is why you can wake up in the morning and immediately feel heavy without knowing why. Your mind hasn't even started thinking yet, but your body remembers. It remembers the stress from yesterday's problems, the guilt from last week's mistakes, the fear of tomorrow's uncertainty. Those emotions are energy stored in the body, and that energy influences the thoughts you think. So the more you feel those emotions, the more your mind generates thoughts to match them. The emotion fuels the thought, and the thought fuels the emotion, creating a loop that keeps you stuck in negativity. Now, imagine your body as a radio tower, broadcasting a signal into the world. Every emotion you feel sends out a frequency. Low vibrational emotions like fear, shame, guilt, or anger broadcast a low-frequency signal that attracts more of the same energy back into your experience. This is why people who live in constant negativity often find themselves surrounded by negative circumstances. It's not that life is punishing them, it's that their emotional energy keeps attracting the same pattern. On the other hand, emotions like gratitude, joy, compassion broadcast a higher frequency, allowing you to experience more opportunities, synchronicities, and positive events. The external world is always responding to the internal signal you emit. What's fascinating is that your thoughts alone can trigger these emotional states, even without anything happening around you. When you imagine something stressful, your body reacts as though it's real. The body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a thought about a threat. So when you spend your days in negative thinking, your body is constantly in fight or flight mode. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tighten, your digestion slows down, and your immune system weakens. You are literally using your life force energy to survive imaginary situations created in your mind. And because survival is a short-term state, your body is not designed to live there for long periods. Yet millions of people in modern society do exactly that. They live in survival 24/7. In this constant survival state, your brain becomes obsessed with predicting danger. It starts scanning for what could go wrong, what might hurt you, what could fail. You stop seeing possibilities and start seeing problems. Creativity shuts down because the brain isn't interested in creation when it's trying to protect you. It's only focused on staying alive. And when this becomes your emotional pattern, you start mistaking protection for control. You think that by worrying, analyzing, and overthinking, you're preparing for the worst, but in reality, you're reinforcing it. You are signaling to your brain and body that negativity is necessary for survival. The energy of emotion is powerful because it teaches your body who you are. If you live in the emotions of fear, anger, or resentment for too long, your body begins to identify with them. You start saying things like, The subconscious mind is the hidden operating system running beneath your conscious awareness. It is the part of you that doesn't just think, it remembers, it reacts, and it predicts. It holds the record of everything you've ever experienced, every emotion you've felt, and every belief you've accepted as truth. From the moment you wake up to the time you fall asleep, almost 95% of what you think, feel, and do comes. The rest is your body following the automatic instructions your subconscious has stored over years of repetition. This is why change feels so difficult. You can say you want to be more positive, more peaceful, more confident, but if your subconscious mind has been programmed to expect negativity, chaos, or disappointment, it will always pull you back into familiar emotional territory. Your subconscious doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you believe. If you've lived most of your life feeling unworthy, your subconscious accepts that as truth and shapes your perception of reality to match it. It filters what you see, how you interpret it, and what you attract. This is not philosophy. It's how the mind has evolved to keep you safe by repeating what's known. The problem is that what's known is not always what's best for you. Every time you experience a strong emotion, the subconscious takes a snapshot and stores it. Over time, those emotional imprints become your internal blueprint. They determine how you react to people, how you handle stress, and how you interpret life. If your subconscious has memorized fear and failure, then even when life offers you opportunities, you won't see them clearly. You'll interpret them as risks or threats, and you'll unconsciously sabotage them. This is why most people live the same emotional day over and over again, even if their circumstances change. They move to new cities, get new jobs, start new relationships, but their inner world stays the same because their subconscious is running the same old program. Reprogramming the subconscious mind starts with awareness. You cannot change what you do not see. When you begin observing your thoughts without judging them, you step outside of the automatic loop. You begin to notice the negative stories your mind tells you, the ones that whisper, "I can't, I'm not good enough," or "this will never work." The moment you become aware of those stories, you create a gap between the thought and your reaction. In that gap lies your power to choose a new thought. It's like stepping out of a river that's been carrying you downstream your entire life and realizing you can walk along the shore instead. Awareness is the first step toward reprogramming because it brings the subconscious into the light of consciousness. Once you become aware, the next step is repetition, not of the old thoughts, but of new ones. The subconscious mind learns through repetition and emotion. You can't just tell yourself "I'm positive" once and expect a lifetime of negativity to disappear. You must rehearse new patterns of thinking every day until they become automatic. The key is to pair those new thoughts with elevated emotions. When you imagine yourself confident, free, and grateful, and you feel those emotions in your body, you are signaling to your subconscious that this new state is real. The body doesn't know the difference between an imagined emotion and a real one, so by practicing the emotional state of your desired reality, you begin to rewire your brain and condition your body to match it. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for this transformation. When you meditate, you move your brain waves from the fast, analytical beta state into slower alpha and theta states, the same states your brain passes through when you're half asleep or deeply relaxed. In these states, the doorway to the subconscious opens. You are no longer locked into the habitual thoughts of the conscious mind. Instead, you can bypass the critical, analytical layer of the brain and speak directly to the subconscious. That's where you can plant new beliefs, reimagine your identity, install new emotional programs that align with who you truly want to become. Visualization works hand in hand with this process. When you visualize, you create a mental image of your desired future, and the brain begins to map it as if it were real. Neurons fire in the same patterns as they would if you were actually experiencing that event. So if you visualize yourself confident, healthy, and free from negativity, your brain begins wiring those new connections. Over time, those connections strengthen, and the old patterns weaken through a process called synaptic pruning. The brain literally eliminates old neural pathways that are no longer used. You are not just imagining a better life. You are physically building the neural architecture for it. Another crucial step in reprogramming the subconscious is emotional regulation. You must become aware of the emotional triggers that pull you back into old states. When you feel anxiety or frustration rise, instead of reacting, you observe, you breathe. You remind yourself that this emotion is just a signal from the past, trying to reclaim control. Every time you choose not to react in the old way, you weaken the emotional bond that ties you to that pattern. You are teaching your body that it no longer needs to live in survival. You are replacing reaction with creation. Over time, as you practice awareness, repetition, visualization, and emotional mastery, your subconscious begins to align with your conscious intentions. Your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors start to work in harmony. You stop living from the memory of who you were and begin living from the vision of who you are becoming. The same energy that once fueled your negativity becomes the energy that creates your transformation. You start seeing evidence of change not because the world outside has suddenly shifted, but because your internal program has. The subconscious that once held you captive in fear and doubt now becomes your ally in creation, effortlessly attracting experiences that match the new frequency of your mind and heart. When you begin to understand that your thoughts and emotions are the language through which you communicate with reality, you realize that creating a new life means creating a new state of being. Your state of being is the combination of how you think and how you feel in every moment. If your thoughts are negative and your emotions are rooted in fear, doubt, or guilt, then your state of being is tuned to those lower frequencies. And because the energy you project determines what you attract, you continue to live experiences that mirror that internal state. To truly transform your life, you must change the way you think and feel until the energy you broadcast becomes a match for the reality you desire. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice to live by the memory of your past or the vision of your future. Most people unconsciously choose the past. They wake up and remember who they are, what their problems are, and what they need to worry about. Their body instantly recalls the emotions of yesterday, and within minutes, they've reconnected to the same identity. They start thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, and experiencing the same emotions as before. In doing so, they recreate the same reality day after day. But the moment you decide to no longer think, feel, act as the same old version of yourself, you begin the process of change. You start signaling to your brain and body that you're ready to create a new future rather than repeat the old one. Creating a new state of being means generating emotions that are greater than the familiar emotions of your past. It means feeling gratitude before the evidence appears. It's feeling joy before the change happens, and feeling freedom before the circumstances shift. When you can emotionally connect with a future that hasn't yet happened, your brain and body begin to experience it as if it already has. The neurons in your brain fire in new patterns. The chemistry in your body begins to change. And the electromagnetic field surrounding your heart starts broadcasting a different frequency. You are literally signaling to the universe that you are no longer defined by the past, but by the future. You are creating. The heart plays a powerful role in this process. Science has shown that the heart generates the largest electromagnetic field in the body, thousands of times stronger than the one produced by the brain. When you align your thoughts with elevated emotions such as love, gratitude, and compassion, your heart and brain move into coherence. This coherent state allows energy to flow freely through your body, creating balance and harmony in your nervous system. It's in this state that your intentions become powerful, because your mind and emotions are working together instead of against each other. You become a magnet for experiences that resonate with your new frequency. This transformation does not happen through force or control. It happens through surrender and awareness. When you let go of the need to know how your future will unfold and instead focus on becoming the version of yourself who already lives it, you begin to collapse time. The body and mind no longer wait for the external world to change before feeling different. They create the emotional and energetic signature of that change right now. And the moment that energy becomes real within you, the external world must respond. Because your outer reality is a reflection of your inner state. In this new state of being, you stop chasing outcomes and start embodying them. Instead of trying to attract love, you become love. Instead of seeking success, you embody the energy of success. Instead of asking for peace, you generate it from within. This is the essence of transformation. It's not about getting something outside of you to complete you. It's about aligning your inner world so completely that the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your vibration. The energy of creation is coherence. When your heart and mind are aligned, your intentions become pure, your energy becomes magnetic, and your life begins to move with effortless flow. To sustain this new state of being, you must practice it daily.